Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Mi channel. The new training of Zoro with Mihawk after Elbaf is finally going to happen. After all, Zoro is more prepared than ever, and this would be the moment for Mihawk to teach him what he couldn't in those 2 years. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, Zoro's new training with Mihawk after Elbaf, where our swordsman will already be more prepared than ever, stronger than hell itself, and with his Conqueror's Haki fully awakened, will open the path to a final training that will leave Zoro ready to cut his own destiny. This isn't a shot in the dark. Just look at what the current manga has already shown up to chapter 1167 and see what Oda is cooking for the three-sword kid. Let's dive into this without stopping to breathe, because Oda doesn't stop planting seeds that grow into giant trees in Elbaf. Zoro is already a different man after Wano, where in chapter 1036, he cut Kaido with Ashura, infused with pure Black Conqueror's Haki, and the dragon called him the King of Hell. He already awakened Conqueror's Haki in a way even Mihawk hasn't shown yet, because in chapter 1110, Lucci felt fear just by looking at him, and in chapter 1042, he cut King like he was paper. Elbaf is the next logical step, an island of giants, warriors who hammer eternal steel, Nordic-like legends talking about gods with blades that split worlds. Zoro will leave that place with evolved swords, a body marked by training that makes Rayleigh look like child's play, and Conqueror's Haki, so dense the air gets heavy just from him walking. The manga has already shown that Elbaf has eternal fire, unbreakable metal, and giants who teach how to strike with absolute will. Zoro will learn to infuse Conqueror's Haki into steel in a way that Enma becomes an extension of his soul. Wado Ichimonji will cut what cannot be cut, and Sandai Kitetsu will obey without biting, because the demon inside it will recognize the King of Hell. After Elbaf, Zoro will be ready for anything stronger than Kaido, with Conqueror's Haki awakened in a way Shanks will feel from afar. The current manga in chapter 1120 showed Zoro cutting the Seraphim like it was training, and in chapter 1111, he blocked Saturn's attack with a single sword. He already has perfect Ryo flow, internal armament Haki that explodes inside the enemy, and observation Haki that sees the future. But he still needs the final touch, the training that only the greatest living swordsman can give. Mihawk, the man who cut Zoro down in Baratie in chapter 52 and saw kingly potential in him, the man who trained him for 2 years on Kuraigana in chapter 597 and turned him into the hunter of the hunter. Mihawk won't ignore this. He senses Zoro's Conqueror's Haki from afar, just like he sensed Luffy's in Marineford. The manga has already shown that Mihawk observes the world, sits with Crocodile in Cross Guild in chapter 1058, and waits for the right moment to act. When Zoro leaves Elbaf with an evolved Ashura and Conqueror's Haki fully awakened, Mihawk will appear because the student is finally ready for the ultimate training, the one he didn't give before because Zoro was still green. Now Zoro is the King of Hell, has cut a Yonko, cut a Lunarian, cut everything the manga threw at him. Mihawk will see that and understand it's time to pass down the definitive torch, the training that makes the student surpass the master. The final training won't be like the 2 years in Kuraigana. It will be short, brutal, and decisive. Mihawk will look at Zoro and say the line the manga has already been preparing. You're already the King of Hell. Now become the King of the Sky. And he will teach him Conqueror's Haki infused into the blade in a way even Roger never did. Zoro will learn to cut what doesn't exist, to cut another person's Haki before it appears, to cut the very air to create vacuum that drags enemies in. The current manga in chapter 1117 showed Zoro cutting Seraphim S-Hawk, his own clone, and feeling the weight of his own potential. He is already ready to learn what Mihawk keeps inside his chest, the cut that makes the world go silent. Zoro will leave this training with his 3 swords shining like never before, Ashura permanent if he wants it, and Conqueror's Haki so strong the sky cracks just from his presence. The manga has already shown that Mihawk is waiting for Zoro to fight for real in chapter 1058 with Cross Guild assembled. After Elbaf, with Zoro more prepared, stronger, with Conqueror's Haki awakened, Mihawk will give him the final training because the world needs the ultimate swordsman beside the Pirate King. Zoro's Conqueror's Haki won't be the same after Mihawk finishes teaching. It won't be an explosion of rage. It won't be a demon screaming. It won't be brute force knocking down whoever's nearby. It will be absolute silence. The kind of silence that makes the whole world stop to hear what comes next. Mihawk has already shown that his Conqueror's Haki at his level doesn't need noise. In Marineford, he sat watching the war, and no one dared come close. In chapter 1058, he sits at Cross Guild, and Crocodile shuts up instantly. When he wants, his Haki doesn't burst. It cuts. Cuts will, cuts courage, cuts even the thought of challenging him. Zoro will learn exactly that, turning Conqueror's Haki into an invisible blade that doesn't even need a sword to kill. The first step Mihawk will teach is total control. Zoro already has awakened Conqueror's Haki, already knocked down soldiers in Wano, already made Kaido feel fear. But he still releases it in waves, still leaves traces, still wastes too much energy. Mihawk will make him stand in the middle of a storm in Elbaf and tell Zoro to stop the wind with presence alone. Zoro will try, fail, try again, until the air becomes so heavy not even a leaf falls. When he succeeds, Mihawk will smirk and say, "Now you understand? A conqueror doesn't shout, he decides." The second step is perfect long-range infusion. Shanks cuts from miles away, Roger cut ships on the horizon. Mihawk cuts whatever he wants without moving. Zoro will learn this by staring at the sea, sensing a marine ship leagues away, and sending his Conqueror's Haki through the air like an arrow. The ship will freeze in the middle of the ocean, the entire crew fainted, with no one understanding what happened. Mihawk will simply say, "Cutting isn't touching, it's reaching." The third step is the scariest. Conqueror's Haki that cuts someone else's Haki. Mihawk has already shown he can nullify an attack before it's launched. Zoro will learn to sense the enemy's Conqueror's Haki forming and cut it before it manifests. It'll be as if the adversary tries to attack and discovers their will has already been erased. The final Ashura will do this on a large scale. The three faces will look at three different enemies and cut each one's will simultaneously without needing to raise a sword. Just looking, just deciding. The fourth step is the one that will make the world tremble. The Conqueror's Haki that creates. Luffy turns the world into rubber. Zoro will turn the world into blades. When he activates the full Ashura, the air around him will solidify into invisible swords, floating in place, ready to cut whatever he wants. 9 real swords, 90 swords of will, 900 if needed. The sky will fill with cuts that don't exist until he wants them to. The sea will split into slices. Time itself will feel slower for anyone near him, because his will is absolute. The reunion won't be by chance. After Elbaf, with Zoro leaving stronger than ever, with Ashura already leaving trails of black fire in the air, and his Conqueror's Haki so dense that even giants feel the weight, Mihawk will appear. He won't send a letter. He won't schedule a public duel. He'll show up in front of Zoro on a deserted island. Yoru sheathed on his back, hawk eyes fixed on the student he cut down in Barati and watched grow from afar. The manga has already shown that Mihawk observes everything, and it already showed in Chapter 1058 that he is in Cross Guild, just waiting for the right moment. That moment is now. Zoro has already cut a Yonko, already awakened what Kaido called the King of Hell, already carried the weight of death, and returned. Mihawk will look at him and speak the line the manga has kept hidden for 1,000 chapters. "You're finally ready to surpass me." The training won't be long conversation. It will be blade against blade, day after day, until the sky truly cracks. Mihawk will draw Yoru and attack without warning, without holding back, because Zoro can take it now. The first strike will split the sea in two, their Conqueror's Haki colliding so hard that islands shake miles away. Zoro will block with his 3 swords, but he will feel the difference. Mihawk's cut isn't just strength, it's absolute decision. Conqueror's Haki infused in a way that enters the soul and cuts will before body. Zoro will be thrown back, spit blood, and laugh with his eyes shining because he finally found someone who cuts deeper than Kaido. Mihawk will teach what no one else has taught, the cut that doesn't need to touch. The manga has already shown that Shanks cuts from long distances, that Roger cuts ships without approaching. Mihawk mastered this better than anyone. He will stand still, tell Zoro to attack, and when Zoro charges with full Ashura, Mihawk will slice the air with Yoru without moving. The blow will pass straight through Zoro, not cutting flesh, but cutting his will for a second. Zoro will fall to his knees, feeling what it's like to have his Conqueror's Haki erased by someone who understands him better than he understands himself. And Mihawk will say calmly, "You already have the power. What's missing is understanding that cutting isn't striking, it's deciding." Zoro's reaction will be silence at first. Absolute respect, because he always knew Mihawk was the peak. But as the training moves on, the silence becomes a smirk, becomes challenge in his eyes, becomes Zoro attacking with everything and Mihawk blocking with one finger. Mihawk will smile back because he'll see the student becoming something even he isn't. The swordsman who cuts what the master cannot. The training will be short because Zoro learns fast when he's serious. Days, maybe weeks, but each day will be a step for Zoro to stop being the king of hell and become the king of everything. In the end, Mihawk will sheath Yoru, look at Zoro drenched in sweat and blood with his 3 swords shining like never before. Ashura still manifested behind him, and he will say the line the manga has saved since Barati: "You have surpassed me." Zoro will lower his swords, take a deep breath, and answer with a rough voice, "I told you I'd be the greatest." And Mihawk will turn his back, smiling for real for the first time because the student has finished what he began. Zoro will leave this training with Ashura permanent if he wants, with Conqueror's Haki that cuts the sky without needing 9 swords, with the ability to face anything the world throws in Luffy's path. The final training won't be to defeat Mihawk. It will be to protect the dream Luffy carries. Because the world's greatest swordsman doesn't need to prove anything to his master anymore. He just needs to cut whatever stands in the Pirate King's way. Comment, the student surpassed the master, if you want to see this moment. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.